Greetings guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video in my childhood bedroom back in New Zealand. It is currently 9 p.m. and I am drinking coffee. Something that we are all well aware of exists, and something that a majority of us have most definitely experienced and gone through in our lives is the not like the other girls complex. My dog has arrived home, so I'm going to introduce you. Biscuit!
Hi, bud!
So my dog, Biscuit, has decided to join. So I'll show you him. You will now be staring at Biscuit's butt for the rest of this video. He is a golden retriever border collie. He's 4 years old, and he is a big boy. He weighs like 31 kilos. Anyway, he's gonna keep us company and ward off the bad vibes that we might get in this video. So anyways, as I was saying, and something that we've probably, most of us have experienced at some point in our lives, especially when we were like teenagers, is the not like the other girls complex, you know? Where we're told that femininity is bad and that we all need male approval. And so it's something we all struggle with, the individuality complex, the wanting to be accepted by our peers, and liking feminine and girly things is just like not cool. That's something that has followed us into adulthood. That's something that is still very real, is that things that women typically enjoy are frowned upon and made fun of. So it's definitely something that people struggle with their whole lives. And a lot of us do it unintentionally. So I just want to put out there that I don't in any way like blame like women. This is a patriarchal issue, and it's quite sad that this exists and that this happens. But it does, and the patriarchy's shit. Biscuit, I'm not playing with the ball. We're not playing right now. Really quickly, before we get any further, I would like to quickly mention that this video is sponsored by Intimina, and I will tell you more about them in a little bit. On this day 11 years ago, it's a Facebook memory, a real woman always has a clean house, empty laundry basket, is well made up, smells good, slim, healthy, eloquent, and is perfectly well behaved. Copy this status if you are beginning to suspect that you are a man. I remember when these posts like ran rampant. These posts were everywhere. The not like the other girls mentality was like poppin'. It was everywhere. Honestly, maybe it still is. I'm not a teenager on Facebook anymore, so maybe it still is, and I've just grown and matured, and so has the content that I see. I really hope it's not as rampant as it was. The internalized misogyny is so off the charts, man. It's so wild, because like I said, I was one of these people. I was so, like, not like the other girls, but at the same time still wanted to, like, blend in with my like female peers, but they were also not like the other girls, so we were all like not like the other girlsing in order to fit in with one another and be like the other girls. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole thing. That's what's so strange about it, is that a lot of the time it's the not like the other girls, but it's the not like the one-dimensional woman that the media is trying to sell us and tell us that we have to be. And we're like, I'm not like that. We're like, a majority of people aren't like that, and the women that are like that, that's totally cool too. That's totally fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just really weird. It's really messed up, and we should stop pulling each other down and saying there's anything wrong with any particular part of femininity and womanhood. And we don't have to try to blend in. You don't have to try to be different. Just exist and be yourself. And as a kid and as a teenager, that's really hard. As a kid, I changed my favorite color based on what my friend's favorite color was. As a small child, I was I really liked typically feminine things. As a kid, I was really into princesses and fairies and makeup, and my favorite color was pink, and I loved glitter and Barbies and all that, and I chose that for myself. I loved that. That's what made me happy. And then I went to school, and one of the people I was friends with, I asked what her favorite color was, and she said her favorite color was blue, and she didn't like pink. And so then when she asked me what my favorite color was, it was pink. I said my favorite color was blue too, and I also didn't like pink. And then I just removed pink from my entire life, because this one girl told me that pink was a stupid color and I wanted to fit in so bad that I just took pink out of my life and changed my personality to match with what all my friends liked and didn't think, and removed everything that I didn't think was cool, and that's where my like not like the other girls mentality set in. And then even though they started liking One Direction and stuff when we were about 12, I didn't understand boys or anything like that, and I was like, no, that's lame, I don't get it. And then I was the not like the other girls in that way. The funniest thing was, I remember when no one asked me to talk about this, but here I am. My favorite not like the other girls experience was when I was, I think, 12. It was just after like Five Sauce debuted. And they were like on tour with One Direction, and I had a subscription to Girlfriend magazine, so every month I got Girlfriend magazine delivered to me. And I remember them being on the cover, and I remember like explicitly like going up to my mom and being like, people think these guys are hot and they're pretty, and I don't get it. I think they're ugly, and I don't get it. I don't understand why people like them. And then 2 years later, my entire life revolved around those four boys. And I have a tattoo. And I had like 3 stan accounts. I made a lot of friends. Their music was like the only thing I listened to. Yeah. But even then I fell into the whole like, they're not a boy band. Like, men like their music too. It's not just teenage girl music. Which a lot of people feel like they have to say in order to validate it. You see it a lot still now with people being like, it's not just girls that enjoy it. Like, even if it was, what's the fucking problem? Why do you care? Why does it matter? What's wrong with things girls like? I've been talking about this one post for so long, and it's not even about the post. So I'm going to move on. This was my story time. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Like things because you like them. Don't change yourself for other people. People will love and accept you no matter what you like. And if they don't, then fuck them. They don't deserve you. You're 15 pulling 15 to 17-year-olds. I'm 15 pulling 15 to 23-year-olds. We are not the same, babe. The way that they do think that this is a flex and it shows maturity is so terrifying and so upsetting. I went to school with a few girls like this, and like, it's so sad because like at the time when you're a teenager, you genuinely do think that you're an adult and you do know what you're getting into and you know what you're doing, which is why there is like an age of consent. I look back to when I was like that age, and I personally would never have dated someone who was like 23, and I said that as like a flex almost because I knew people that would, and I was like, oh, you know, I mean, my friends would like bitch about these girls who would like sleep with guys who were so much older than them, and we're like low-key like slut shaming them when we were teenagers because that's just what you do. You think that you're an adult, you don't really see the problem with it. And it's really awful, and I always feel really gross about it now, thinking about how we talked about that and how, like, you know, we didn't tell them that that wasn't okay, and we didn't, like, tell anyone and, like, inform anyone to help them because we just kind of, like, didn't really think about it because we were kids too, and we thought that we were adults. And it's really fucking sad. I knew like 13-year-olds who would like sleep with 18-year-olds to get alcohol from them. And at the time we were like, but weird are those girls to be doing that? Bro, no. Got nothing to do with them. It's the guys that were like saying we'll buy you alcohol if you sleep with us. Like, that's fucked. Nothing was done about it. I don't know if anyone knew about it, but like, fuck, I wish I'd like told someone because this was happening like at my school with like year 13s and year 9s kind of thing. Like, yeah, it's fucked, man. And as teenagers, you always blame the women. No one ever questions the older men. And I feel like she's probably in an environment where it's like that with other 15-year-olds also being like slut shaming her or whatever, which in turn makes her feel like she's doing what she's trying, that she's not like one of the other girls. She's not like the other girls. She's like cooler and a badass and stuff like that. And it's terrifying how many kids get themselves into these situations. It's like when girls' nudes are leaked at school, it's always her fault. Like, why did you send that? Why did you do that? And no one actually gets on the guy who like shared it or leaked it. Like, everyone's slut shaming her for sending it, but no one's like slut shaming him for asking her to send it, you know? And I know people that's happened to as well. Their nudes have been leaked. They get slut shamed. They get shit for it. No consequences for whoever she sent it to. It's fucked. It's so sad and it's so awful. And I really wish more was done about it. I do wish we learned about consent so much earlier on. And I wish we learned why those rules are there and what it means. And that, you know, you are kids and adults do take advantage of you. We need to have more comprehensive sex education around consent and that sort of stuff because there is not enough of it. I know a lot of these girls have like PTSD now and it's fucked because there's no fucking consequences for anyone involved, so that's fun. Stop being a bitch and taking pain meds for your period cramps. Learn to deal with the pain. Strengthen your body and get in touch with your womb. Do womb massages. Meditate with your womb in mind. The cramps will lessen. Use herbal tea if you must. Stop using pharmaceuticals. She tweeted this on my birthday. That's rude. How dare you tweet that on my birthday? Listen, it's funny because, like, I've been seeing tweets about this recently as well. Like, I don't know what her level of pain is. Maybe she has really mild pain and so therefore is downplaying what everyone else feels. And it's like, you don't need to take pain meds. This is really manageable. In which case, bro, have more sympathy with what other people feel. I personally have never had really bad cramps and I never really understood people talking about how bad it was. They talk about it like women all experience these cramps and this pain. And I was always like, I don't have that. I don't get that. And I'm really, really lucky because when I got my Mirena put in, the cramps was so terrible and I had like a period when it was like the settling period. I had like a really bad period. It was like really heavy, really painful. I was like paralyzed. I couldn't move and I was like, oh my god, is this what some people go through every single month? And then I was given a whole new insight as to how fucking awful it must be for so many people. Oh my god. I shouldn't have had to go through that and I shouldn't have had to feel that myself in order to be able to experience like empathy. I still had like sympathy for people who had bad period cramps, but obviously I didn't know what that felt like. And feeling it, anyone who gets bad cramps, bad periods, I'm so sorry. It fucking sucks so bad. Take all the pain medication you fucking want. Like, it exists for a reason. I don't know why so many people are so like anti-medicine. Like, it's created from the things we have on Earth. It's not like someone just like created a brand new substance from like the space. I don't know. It's all shit that you find here that was like on the planet when we got here. I don't get it. Everything is natural in a way because it's all from fucking Earth. Anything man-made you make from other things that already exist, you know? And like medicine and science and shit have developed over time so that we have the ability to make things that make us feel better. Why the fuck would I not utilize that? You know, like I have it. Why wouldn't I use it? Just like get over it. You don't have to take pain meds if you don't want to. That's your choice, but I'm gonna take them. I was so badly sunburnt a couple weeks ago. New Zealand sun is fucking brutal. We have the harshest sun in the world here. And it was a sunny beach day. I just come from London winter and I forgot to put sunblock on. And I was out at the beach for 3 or 4 hours in pure sunlight. My entire body, so red. I couldn't sleep because if I moved, I like woke up. I'm still peeling. It's been over 2 weeks and I'm still fucking peeling. And I was taking ibuprofen 3 times a day for my sunburn. Like, bitch, if I can take painkillers and it's gonna help something, I'm gonna fucking take them. On the topic of periods though, I would like to take a moment to tell you about today's sponsor, Lily Cup 1 by Intimina. Lily Cup 1 is a menstrual cup that is perfect for anyone, ranging all the way from beginners and people who have never used a menstrual cup before to seasoned menstrual cup users, such as myself, who has been using menstrual cups as my like preferred period product for the past 5 years now. I love Lily Cup 1 so much because she comes in this little case and you're like, Savannah, how does a little menstrual cup fit in there? What? Well, you see, you open her up and then and you pull her out like that and then boom, you have a menstrual cup. She holds more liquid than a tampon, so you can keep it in for a longer period of time. And they're not only more efficient than a tampon in terms of you don't have to change them as regularly, they hold more liquid, but they're also more environmentally conscious, obviously, because it is multi-use. You only have one thing and you can use it multiple times a day, over multiple days, over multiple months, over multiple years. It greatly cuts down on the amount of waste produced, as well as it's being much more cost efficient because you only have to make one purchase one time, which is really cool, Really helpful, all around amazing. I know that period cups are like really intimidating because they're quite big, but once you've got the hang of it and you know what you're doing, it's genuinely so comfortable. You don't know it's there. You forget about it. I cannot recommend Lily Cup 1 enough. I genuinely really, really love her. And think that it's such an incredible product. So if you would like to try it out for yourself, then you can use the link in the description. And thank you so much, Intimina, for your continuous support of this channel. It means a lot. If you're a girl and you don't have a group of guy friends that roast you 24/7, I feel bad for you because them MFers make my skin thick as hell. Ain't no one telling me something I haven't already heard from those assholes. See, I just don't really feel like being around that energy, you know? I don't really like being like made fun of by my friends in a not like playful way. And I guess this was implying like playful, but when it's shit that like actually cuts deep, I'm not a fan. You need to know like lines and boundaries, and this sort of implies that there are a few of them because it sounds like they would actually hurt my feelings. And I'm not down for that. I don't really like being around people that like hurt my feelings, you know? Not a fan. So no, actually. Whatever makes you happy, if you want to be around people that constantly make fun of you, then go for it, I guess. But like, I don't think this is gender specific. Like, women can bully each other too. And men can also like not bully you and be like uplifting and good friends. This isn't a gender exclusive sort of thing. You can have this from anyone. But I personally preferably would like a group of friends who, you know, lift me up rather than like push me down and like make me question whether or not they actually like me. So, I don't know. You do you though. So here's a truck with a bunch of stickers that say shit like, you call me a bitch, but it's Miss Bitch to you. Fuck Biden. Trump is my president. Yes, boys, this is my truck. Real girls drive trucks. Yes, I'm a girl. This is my truck. No, you can't drive it. Silly boys. Trucks are for girls. Do you think that there is a woman that drives this truck? Do you think a woman drives this truck? I don't know. I couldn't tell. I don't think there were enough stickers telling me that a woman drives this truck. You don't need the male approval, man. Your own approval is enough. If you enjoy it and it makes you happy, then like, that's cool. You don't need a bunch of men to be like, yeah, I love me, a woman who drives a truck. Like, we get it. You drive a truck. That's very cool. You can talk about that, obviously, if it's what makes you happy, if that's your passion. Fully go for it. Talk about it. You don't get extra points for driving a truck. It's cool that you drive a truck. I'm glad that you like it, but like, you don't get brownie points for it, you know? Just do it because it makes you happy. Hot take, catcalling isn't as bad as it's made out to be. It's just deemed as socially unacceptable and improper by white Euro standards. I don't mind being catcalled sometimes, depending on my mood, but it's not inherently a violent thing. I have a problem with this because, like, firstly, she ended it with, I don't mind sometimes, it depends on my mood. I don't think it's always meant violently. But, like, okay, so that's a very conditional thing. So, like, no one's gonna know what your mood is, and you're not gonna know whether it's violent or not. This is one thing where you can't have a gray area. You either like it or you don't like it. And if you like it, it's because you're socially conditioned to like it. So basically it's bad. There's no positive light to look at it. It is a bad thing. It is not a good thing. The height of being catcalled for myself and for pretty much every single girl that I know was when I was like 14 to 16. That's when I was catcalled pretty much every time I left the fucking house. I was always catcalled. As a child, I was catcalled a lot. And I used to like it. I loved that because at the time, I was struggling with a really terrible eating disorder and awful self-confidence and body image. And so going out and like having people aggressively imply that they thought I was attractive, I was like, oh, I like this attention. People think I'm pretty. I don't think I'm pretty. So, like, it's nice to hear it from other people because we're told that that's what it means, right? We're told that when people catcall us, it's because they find us attractive or they find us pretty. And this links back to what I was talking about before about being 15 and thinking you can sleep with 23-year-olds, and that's okay because that's your choice. Like, thinking about it now, anyone who's driving should not be attracted to a 14-year-old. Just straight up. Just straight up, they should not be attracted to a 14-year-old. My good God. And then you realize about the fact that, yeah, they don't have any intention of like talking to you or getting to know you or anything. It's got nothing to do with whether they think you're attractive or not. They just see a woman that they can objectify and be like, hey, look, I've objectified you. Honk, honk. That's it. That's all it is. It's just reminding you that you exist in a man's world. I don't mind when people say like, hey, I really like your hair. Hey, I just wanted to let you know I really like your outfit. That's chill. That's cool. You can do that. But like yelling at someone, they don't even usually say that like you look good or anything like that. They just like yell at you or honk at you or whatever. It's so uncomfortable because it's just them reminding you that they have power over you. They're bigger than you. They can do that. Who's going to stop them from doing that? It's not a compliment. It's just a power play. And that's especially depicted by the fact that they target mainly at children. When I get catcalled now, I like feel so uncomfortable and I want to go home and like change my clothes. If I wear like shorts out, I'll sometimes get like catcalled or have a car honk at me. And I just immediately would like to go home and change because I feel like I wore what I wore because I felt good in it, because it's a hot day, because I feel good. And then if someone like objectifies me, I feel gross because I'm not putting myself out there to be objectified. I'm not putting myself out there with the intention of being like sexualized. I'm just existing. And when people tell me or make me feel as though my body is like something that they're looking at in that way, I become very uncomfortable. And I think that goes for a lot of people. It's them reminding you that they do view you like that and that you are an object in their eyes. And I'm not a fan. So catcalling, bad. It might make you feel good sometimes, but that's because we've been conditioned to think that we need male validation and that our attractiveness and the way that we look is the most important and interesting thing about us when it is not. Now, I had a few more posts planned for this and I have notes and things, but I've been here for almost an hour, which is way longer than I anticipated. This was not meant to be a long video, but I got so sidetracked. This one, oh my gosh, so many side rods. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed the video. I don't know if you've seen my cute little t-shirt. I've talked about them in the past couple videos, but this is a tuatara, which is the closest living relative to a dinosaur. It is native to New Zealand, and it is wearing a cowboy hat. And you can get this t-shirt on insectumclothing.com. I will put the link in the description. There's this tee, and then there's Pride Kiwis, which you can get a kiwi in a bunch of different pride flag colors. And then there's a frog and a kiwi sitting and hanging out. And it is a small business. There are only a couple people that work there. They're all sustainable and ethical, or as ethical as you can be under capitalism, you know. And a portion of the profit will be donated to a New Zealand wildlife and conservation organization. So every purchase, you're supporting a small business, you're supporting me, and you're supporting a New Zealand wildlife organization. So, and you get a cool t-shirt. So it's a win-win-win for everyone everywhere. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, please. YouTube has butted me out of the algorithm because it like age restricted a couple of my videos. So they're like, no, fuck you. And so now I'm sad. So if you could interact, that'd be really cool. Massive thank you to my Kiwi Fruit and Kiwi Bad channel members whose names are up on the screen right now. Big thank you to my Sprout and Above patrons whose names are on the screen right now. And the biggest thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons. Wolf, Rosa, Toulouse, Bobby, Sparrow, Josh, Mandy, and Robbie. I love and appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for becoming patrons. If you would like to join, you can go to patreon.com/savvycat. There's a whole range of like perks and stuff that you can get. So have a little browse through there. But it includes like getting videos a day early, getting bonus content, things like that. So yeah, sick, chill, cool. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.